Applique designs are one of my most favorite embroidery designs because number one, they don't take as long to stitch and I can change up the fabric that's being used in the applique as quick as looking in my fabric collection and choosing the fabric. Once it is placed, it is going to stitch around it and then I trim it. After we trim it, it will stitch over the raw edge. Now there's tons of built-in designs that are applique and of course thousands of designs that are available to you via collections or even on the internet. There's also a quick way to find all the applique designs in the PFAFF Creative icon by first touching the small little book in the upper left corner. So if your Help Center comes up and it's the 5 little bars here, you're looking for the yellow one that says Techniques and Tutorials. Here you're going to find lots of different ones, but you do have to slide to find the embroidery ones from Garment Techniques, Sewing Techniques, oh my gosh, there's so many of these, Quilting, and then at the end, Embroidery Techniques. The reason I like to show you this is because it's a great way to cheat and see all the designs that are of a particular kind of applique, or all the cutwork designs, or all the yarn embellishment embroidery designs. So here we actually have 4 different types of applique. So as we choose them, that will show us first how to do the applique. So if you've never done applique or never done one of the techniques, here's your step-by-step instructions. But this is the cool part, touch content, and it will show you all the applique designs designated for that just traditional cut and covered edge. So here's that square I was looking for. I'm going to go ahead and touch that and then touch and hold, and that will bring it on screen. Now, once I'm done checking out the instructions or the other designs, I can minimize this and it actually hangs out now right here on screen. So at any touch, I can go back, see and check out the steps or even choose another design. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it off to the side. So I have an idea about this. This isn't a very big design. I chose it just so it stitches out a little bit quicker. But I am going to show you and place it right at the end of this pre-stitched design I have. So I'm going to put it here, and then we're going to do another video of how to use the precise positioning option, and I'm going to show you how you can get them to touch to something that already exists, and that is a highlight of this machine. So make sure you do check out that particular video. So first off, since this is very centered over here, I was thinking I would show you a quick way to make sure that this is centered, because right now it's just all over the place, right? So Edit is going to show me these 2 sets of numbers, and those are kind of like a grid number. So instead of me trying to figure out where the center is and just tap, oh my gosh, that would take forever. You can actually touch these particular numbers. So as you can see, if I get really, really close, one of those numbers is close to 0. So that's the 1.0. So I'm going to touch it, and I'm going to touch 0 and touch OK. So what it did was it just put it correctly, exactly in the middle of the hoop. Now I've decided to actually do this on point. So while it's selected, I'm going to go over to my rotation, and I'm going to rotate it, not 90 degrees, that was my thought, by touching the middle, but that's not going to do it. I want it 45 degrees. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would take forever also. Touch the 5 degree and type in 45. Ah, so lovely. So a lot of times where there's numbers involved, you can touch them and dial in exactly what you want. All right, so let's just see. I'm going to just leave it on screen. I'm not going to actually try to get it to the right position just yet, because I want to show you what I do when I get to the embroidery stitch out screen. And then we're going to go through the steps of the applique. All right, so let's just see if we have the right hoop selected. I do have the 260 by 200, and that is what I'm hooped up now to use. Embroidery stitch out, here we come. That embroidery arm moves over. And I don't really need anything here. My straight stitch stroke plate is on. I don't need to baste in the hoop, and I am going to have it do all the colors as normal. So I'm going to just leave everything okay and touch OK to get to the embroidery stitch out screen. So next we're going to just slide this on the hoop, but I have a feeling we're going to be stitching over what already exists. And I had mentioned that I wanted this design kind of right here, because after I stitch one, I'm going to go ahead and add two more, one to each side for another video. So right now, where you see the plus on the screen, that is actually the starting point, and that is actually where the needle's hanging out. So we definitely don't want to start right there. That's where you can use the precise positioning to double check where you're actually going to stitch. So if you want to see the center of the design, you can touch the little center square here and then touch step number 2. So again, still way top, way too far up, and all I want to do is really just move it down. But because it's not actually going, I can actually let it do the center point, so let's just go ahead. So I can really just move this straight down until I feel like I'm ready to check it and see where it's actually going to stitch on my screen. So with step 2 selected, you can really just have it rotate around the design, making sure that your 4 corners are not going to overlap. I still think I can come down a little bit closer, and that is something else that you can do, is you can just set it so it will actually show you where that design is going to stitch. Once you're sure it's not going to stitch into your other design and you're happy with it, touch OK, and we are ready to start. Again, the needle moves back to the first stitch so I can see or double check that that's not going to stitch in with my design. So applique always has 3 parts to the stitch out progress. So what we're looking at first is a outline of where we're going to put our piece of fabric. So this gives me an idea of how big a piece of fabric. So if I am reaching for scraps, I have an idea how big it is. The machine stops and even tells me to change color, which I'm not going to. And even though I'm right over the last stitch, it has been cut. So sometimes I'll slide something underneath my needle just to double check that that has been cut and kind of moved out of my way. So I'm going to just take a piece of fabric and lay it over that particular area. Go ahead and touch the start button again. Remember, you don't have to touch anything on your screen. Even though it says change color, this is usually where I don't change colors, obviously. And it's going to stitch that same shape again, all the way around, and your directions will usually have you cut the fabric after it. So that's why it's going to stop next and show you how and when to cut. Little locking stitch, one more cut so that thread is been released. So at this point, I can take the hoop off the machine and trim really close with my curved scissors. But I want to show you something I do use a lot on the FOF Creative icon that allows me not to take the hoop off every single time, especially for something that's not too hard to trim. Something with lots of detail like petals of flowers and things, I would take it off so I can work my scissors and hands all the way around, but because this is straight, it's super easy to do this little trick. So yes, touch OK on the screen just to clear off this particular message, and then go down to hoop position. Now a lot of times I leave this little guy up as I'm working because I'm always going to the third one, the one with the picture of the scissors on it, and this is for the trim position. Now watch what happens to the hoop when I touch it. It moves the needle to the top corner up to the right, and now my embroidery is way out here where I can trim it. So I don't even have to take the hoop off, but I'm going to take my curved scissors, push down towards the hoop base, lift up on the fabric that I'm trimming, and I'm trimming really close. If you have really nice scissors, this process should be very easy, where you can just come in and again come as close as possible, lifting the fabric. Curved scissors will not cut the base fabric, but allow you to work your way around and not have to take that hoop off. You do want to get a very close trim because the next step is the rest of the design, which will include the satin stitch that goes over the raw edge. At this point, you can touch the hoop picture with the little needle on it, or you can push the start button and then the needle will go back to where it actually needs to start. applique designs are that easy. The fabric does the work for you. Pick any color you want. Do a quick trim and the stitching around the raw edges looks perfect every single time. So next up, make sure you check out our FOF precise positioning video where I'm going to add 2 more of these exactly lined up right to the tip, because this machine's capabilities for realigning items even after you get it out of the hoop are amazing. So we'll put links right up in this top corner for that next video and check it out. If you want to learn more applique and additional 15 different embroidery techniques along those applique ideas, please check out our Embroidery Essentials online course where we do applique, we do quilting, even a lace design, and pull all those great designs and techniques together into a small wall hanging while you're mastering your embroidery machine.